Achilles knew there were two roads before him: go home, live a long life, and let his fame disappear, or stay at Troy, become unforgettable, and never return. At first, even the greatest warrior in Greece questioned whether glory was worth dying for. Then Patroclus died. Suddenly, survival no longer meant the same thing. So why would a man knowingly walk toward his own death and call that choice meaningful? The two lives Achilles could choose. Most heroes are remembered because they survived impossible dangers. Achilles is remembered because he knew survival was possible and eventually turned away from it. He was the son of Peleus, a mortal king, and Thetis, a goddess of the sea. Divine blood made him extraordinary, but it did not make him immortal. And in Homer's Iliad, Achilles knows that his life can move toward two radically different endings. When Greek leaders come to his tent in Book 9 and beg him to return to battle, they offer wealth, honor, cities, and the chance to become the greatest name among the Achaeans. Achilles answers with something almost shocking for the greatest warrior in the poem. He says that the brave man and the coward meet the same death. He says treasure can be won again, but once a human life has escaped, no one can buy it back. Then he reveals what his mother has told him. If he stays at Troy and fights, he will never return home, but his fame will never die. If he sails back to his homeland, that great fame will disappear, but his life will be long. This is not a man blindly obsessed with glory. At this moment, Achilles can see through the bargain. He understands exactly what heroic fame costs. And for a moment, the greatest warrior in Greece sounds like a man choosing life. The insult that made glory feel empty. To understand why that choice changes, we have to understand what happened before it. The Iliad begins not with Achilles fighting Troy, but with Achilles fighting Agamemnon. Agamemnon is forced to return Chryseis, a captive woman awarded to him after a raid. To replace the public loss of his prize, he takes Briseis, another captive woman, from Achilles. The women in this system are victims of war, not trophies we should romanticize. But inside the brutal honor culture of the Greek camp, possession of those prizes is treated as visible proof of status. So when Agamemnon takes Briseis, Achilles experiences more than personal anger. Before the entire army, the king has told him that all his strength, risk, and victories can still be treated as less important than royal power. Achilles nearly draws his sword on Agamemnon. Athena stops him. He obeys the goddess, but he does not forgive the insult. Instead, he walks away from battle. And then he asks for something darker. He wants the Greeks to suffer without him. He wants them pushed back toward their ships until Agamemnon understands what it means to dishonor the man who was protecting them. It is a painfully human impulse. If people do not value you while you are present, part of you may want them to discover your value through your absence. But absence has consequences Achilles cannot control. The friend who made the choice personal. As the Trojans push the Greeks toward disaster, Patroclus can no longer watch men die beside the ships. He is Achilles' closest companion, the person who remains beside him while the rest of the army becomes the object of his anger. Patroclus asks to enter the battle wearing Achilles' armor, hoping the sight of it will frighten the Trojans and give the Greeks room to breathe. Achilles agrees, but he gives Patroclus a limit. Drive the Trojans away from the ships, then come back. Do not let victory pull you too far toward Troy. For a time, the plan works. The Trojans recoil. Patroclus drives them back. Then success becomes momentum, and momentum becomes overreach. He presses toward the city. In Homer's telling, his death is not the work of one man alone. Apollo strikes and disarms him. Euphorbus wounds him. Hector finally drives the mortal spear into him. And Patroclus falls wearing Achilles' armor. That image matters. Achilles had withdrawn his body from the war, but his identity had gone back into it. His armor was there. His name was there. The person he loved most was there in his place. When the news reaches Achilles, every argument he made about survival is still logically true. Life still cannot be bought back. A long future at home still exists in theory. But Patroclus does not. Grief does something terrifying to choice. It can leave every option physically available while making only one of them feel emotionally possible. The moment he chose death with open eyes. Achilles' mother comes from the sea and finds him broken over Patroclus. He tells Thetis that he cannot continue living among men unless Hector pays for what happened. And Thetis does not hide the price. She tells her son that if Hector dies, Achilles' own death will follow soon afterward. This is the moment at the center of the story. Achilles is not tricked. He is not confused. He is not told that victory will somehow make him safe. He understands that returning to battle closes the road home. Earlier, he could imagine growing old in Phthia. He could imagine marriage, wealth, his father's house, and years no poet would sing about. Now that future has changed shape. To reach it, Achilles would have to leave Troy while Patroclus lies dead and Hector remains alive. He would have to survive as a version of himself he can no longer accept. So he chooses. He will pursue Hector. He will accept whatever fate comes afterward. And before he dies, he says he will win fame. This is why the choice of Achilles is more disturbing than a simple hunger for recognition. Glory becomes fused with grief. Reputation becomes fused with loyalty. Vengeance becomes fused with identity. He does not merely ask, "How long can I live?" He is asking, "What kind of man would I be if I lived by walking away now?" Human beings still make smaller versions of that choice. We sacrifice time for achievement, safety for purpose, peace for loyalty. Sometimes we accept enormous costs because a life that violates our deepest identity feels, from the inside, like another form of death. When glory became rage, Thetis brings Achilles new armor forged by Hephaestus, beautiful enough to look almost divine. But the armor is also a visual contradiction. It is made to preserve his body in the battle that will lead him toward death. Achilles returns, and the war changes immediately. He drives the Trojans back. He hunts Hector. At last, outside the walls of Troy, the two greatest warriors face one another. Hector knows death is close, but he chooses not to die without struggle. Achilles knows his own death waits beyond this victory, and he attacks anyway. Achilles kills Hector. If glory were enough to heal grief, the story could stop there. It does not. Patroclus is still dead. Achilles refuses Hector's dying request that his body be returned to his family. He ties the corpse behind his chariot and drags it away from Troy. The man who chose a meaningful death has become trapped inside meaningless rage. That is one of the hardest truths in the Iliad. A person can win the thing he believed he needed and discover that victory has not touched the wound underneath it. Achilles has killed the man he blamed. His honor is restored. His fame is greater than ever. And still he cannot sleep. He keeps grieving Patroclus. He keeps returning to Hector's body. The victory repeats, but the loss does not reverse. Glory can tell the world who won. It cannot bring back the dead, the enemy who made him human again. Then an old man walks into Achilles' shelter at night. It is Priam, king of Troy and father of Hector. He has crossed the enemy camp to ask for the body of his son. He kneels before the man who killed Hector and kisses the hands that killed so many of his children. Then Priam asks Achilles to think of his own father. Peleus is far away. He is growing old. And Achilles already knows that the father waiting for him will never see his son return from Troy. Suddenly, the enemy in front of Achilles is no longer only the father of Hector. He is a mirror of Peleus. And Achilles is no longer only the killer of Priam's son. He is also the son whose own father will grieve. The two men begin to weep. Priam weeps for Hector. Achilles weeps for Patroclus and for his father. For one of the first times since Patroclus died, Achilles is not using pain as fuel for violence. He is allowing another person's pain to exist beside his own, and that changes him. He raises Priam from the ground. He orders Hector's body prepared. He returns the son to the father. He even agrees to hold back the Greek army, so Troy can mourn and bury its dead. Achilles cannot undo what he did. He cannot bring Hector back. He cannot bring Patroclus back. He cannot reopen the long road home he has chosen to abandon. But he can stop adding suffering to suffering. And in that moment, the greatest warrior in the poem discovers a kind of strength no armor could give him. What Achilles really left behind. The Iliad does something unexpected with Achilles. It does not end with his death. It does not end with the fall of Troy. It ends with the funeral of Hector. Achilles remains alive, but everyone, including Achilles, knows that his own end is coming. He chose the road of the short life, and in one sense, the promise came true beyond anything he could have imagined. Thousands of years later, people still know his name. But what exactly do we remember? We remember the warrior no one could stop. We remember the rage. We remember Hector falling. But we also remember Achilles crying in the dust. We remember how much he loved Patroclus. We remember the old father kneeling before him. And we remember the moment Achilles finally chose pity over anger. Perhaps that is the final irony of his search for glory. His greatest claim to immortality may not be the moment he looked most like a god. It may be the moment he became unmistakably human. Most of us will never face Achilles' choice between a long-forgotten life and a short legendary one. But we make quieter versions of it all the time. How much of your life are you willing to exchange for achievement? How much peace for recognition? How much safety for the feeling that what you did mattered? There is no simple answer hidden in the myth. A long life is not automatically meaningful. A famous life is not automatically worth its cost. And being remembered is not the same as having truly lived. Achilles wanted a name that death could not erase. He got one. But the Iliad leaves us with a different question. If people remember you long after you are gone, what part of you do you hope they remember?